Welcome back, drawing buddies. This week we're gonna draw Enjin From Gachiakuta, I believe is how you say it, from pencils to inks to colors. So if that sounds like a good way to spend 21 minutes, then let's hang out and draw and talk about Enjin. Now, I don't think I got the name of the show right, Gachiakuta, but please, if anybody knows how to say it, put it phonetically in the comments, because I would really like to know how to say it, because I like the show. It gets a little dark in places, especially with Amma and all that stuff, but man, it was good. And I wanted to draw Enjin, especially in the full mask, because when they introduced him and he has the full mask on, I was like, damn, that's a cool-ass mask, and I'm drawing that. So that's how we got here. And I also want to go like super poster style on this one. Originally, I drew Enjin pretty much black and white with a colored background with a blue splatter over him. And I really liked it, but I figured it was kind of cheesy to make a video like that. So, but you'll see like in some of the title cards and everything that I kind of left it there with the black and white, because I drew this so long ago. It was before I figured out the whole motion graphics thing and before I had the blue gorilla and all that stuff, and I just kept putting it off because I couldn't get back to the series, and I didn't think I could fill up a 20-minute video with the base knowledge I had of Enjin and Gachiakuta. I hope I'm saying that right. So yeah, but then I re-recorded coloring him full color, and there's a banner at the end, and then I changed the graphic at the beginning so you could sort of see where we're going with this. But yeah, this full mask, I just love the look of it. I'm like, damn, that's cool. I was actually a little disappointed when everybody else got their mask in the show and they weren't as cool as Enjin's, but you know, whatever. It didn't matter because Enjin had his mask, and I do 3D printing, and I got a bunch of stuff I got to start painting actually. Maybe I'll make a 3D printing video. I wonder if anybody watched that. Probably more people than are watching the drawings right now. Sorry, being a little self-depreciating. One of the model makers, 3D model makers that I follow on Patreon, I forgot which one it is, I gotta look it up, but they just did an Enjin model, and one of the options was to have the full mask on them, so I might subscribe or see if I could just buy that one model without subscribing. But the reason I subscribe to a couple of them is because it's cheaper to subscribe and get like 5 to 10 models a month than it is just to buy one model. So it's like, you know, I guess I'll just pay the monthly and keep the models I like. And I have like 6 printed, and I got a couple ships printed, and I think the next thing I'm going to do is my USS Defiant from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and then I'm going to do the Swordfish from Cowboy Bebop, and then I'm going to start painting Afro Samurai and Donatello, and I did an Electra one and a John Lennon one, so I got enough 3D models printed to keep me busy for quite a while. I also have some plastic models, some Star Trek ships I got to get to building too, because I want to do those. A couple of them are almost 3 feet long. One of them is the original Enterprise from the old series, the TOS we call it, and that's almost 3 feet long. And then the refit of that Enterprise from the Kirk movies, that one's also like 3 feet long. I think that one's like 35 inches. It's a big model, and that one's intimidating because the paint job on it is a little crazy. But we're not here to talk about Star Trek models. We're here to talk about Enjin. So Gachiakuta, that I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, and I'll say that every time I say the name. It's it starts out kind of like you're in a dystopian future and you're in a city in the sky, and it almost reminded me a little bit of that movie Elysium. I never seen it, but I just see the trailers, and they got that ring of the city for the rich folk in the sky, and then you got the poor folk living on the planet. But in I'm not even going to try to say it. They live in a floating city, and there's a walled off part of the floating city, and that's where the wealthy live. And then outside that is the middle class and the poorer folk. But the poorer folk are actually allowed to go into the nicer city, even though the city folk don't seem to like it very much. And it's mostly about Rudo, and Rudo's a kid, and he has a thing. He doesn't understand why the rich people throw away all the nice stuff. And so he goes through their trash, and he steals it, and he brings it home, and then he fixes it, and he gives it a new life. And I guess that's frowned upon, taking the trash, and they're looking for him almost as a criminal. And a lot of people pick on him because he has a feeling that, you know, objects can have souls if they're loved enough. And eventually, Rudo, I guess his father was a unaliver, and he was taken in by another guy whose name I don't remember at the moment, but I will look it up later. And that guy treated him like a son, and he was helping to raise him right and pick up the slack because his father wasn't around. And then somebody unalived that guy, and they blamed it on Rudo. So Rudo got convicted, and when they convict people up in the city, they basically throw them over the edge of the floating city down to the planet below. And somehow Rudo survived that fall, and he wakes up in a pile of trash, and it's kind of toxic. He can't breathe very well there. And then this giant monster pops out of the trash, and it's attacking him, and he's doing his best just to not get eaten by the thing and stay alive. And out of nowhere, well, hold on. The pencils are done. It is time to ink Enjin with the full mask. I love the look of that thing. See, like there is pretty much what it looked like without the colors. So anyway, Rudo is trying to stay alive against the trash monster. And Enjin shows up, and he's basically trying to tell him to quiet down, and chill out. And Rudo's freaking out and won't shut up. So Enjin just loses it. I was like, I'm trying to tell you shut up because sound attracts these things. And to get me yelling like this is kind of crazy because I'm a chill guy and I don't yell. Yeah, sorry, I was yelling. But it's funny. And then he's like, and now we awaken an army of trash beasts. So now he has to fight an army of these things, and he just flashes out his umbrella and it turns into this cool thing. What do they call them? The weapons are called vital instruments. I had to look that up, which kind of stinks and shows you where my brain's going because I literally just watched it yesterday. And so his vital instrument is an umbrella. It's a dirty old grubby umbrella, but when you do the power thing, it looks pretty awesome, and it gets all these blades on and these colors, and that's what he uses to fight with. And he dispatches all the trash beasts, and he realizes that Rudo is from the sphere, they call it, up top. Now, Rudo's all angry from getting thrown out of his city, and his stepfather getting all unalived, and everybody thinking he's a murderer, and he wants to get back, and he wants revenge, so he's not all that, into what Enjin is selling. And so Enjin drags him along. He's like, you really want to see what kind of place this is? And he leaves him with a bunch of raiders. And the raiders seem like they're nice at first, but when they find out he's from the sphere, they do, they chain him up, and they make him eat garbage, and Rudo just freaks out. And he activates his vital instrument, which happens to be a pair of gloves. And the pair of gloves let Rudo turn anything into a vital instrument, but apparently it has a time limit and it disintegrates when it's done, but we won't talk about that right now because it's not important. And as Rudo is about to unalive all the raiders who were pretty much torturing him, Enjin comes down, goes, whoa, 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 that's enough, they learned their lesson, let's go. And Rudo is amazed. He's like, I don't know what the heck I just did, but crazy. And well, hold on. So for the drawing here, I used a lot of halftones because I wanted it to look like a kind of a vintage postery thing. And when I was done, I'm like, oh, this looks really cool in black and white. And I threw the red background behind them and the splatter. I'm like, wow, I really, really like this because the blue went through the white on Enjin. Because of where I put the layer, I'm like, oh, that's a happy accident. But then I'm like, that's kind of cheesy for a video, though. I should color them for the people. So, yeah. I think I mentioned that already. But the reason why I went with that was because the halftone dots look so cool, I didn't want to cover them up with color. But there's two versions of this. So if you ever see me at a con and I have prints and you like it and you want one, there will be the full color one, and there will be the one with the black and white engine, and you pick the one that you like better. They're both represented in this video in one way or another. So Enjin gives Rudo a speech about joining up the cleaners and everything, and he says he's going to have somebody train him. And that person turns out to be, I forgot his name too, Zanka. It's Zanka. Zanka was like a little rich kid in some prestigious academy, and he was the best until some underprivileged girl showed up everybody in his class. I don't remember how far they took that in his little origin episode toward the end. But yeah, so he takes on the job to train Rudo, but before he gets to him, Enjin gives Rudo some money to survive on while he's waiting for Zuko to get there. Zanka, sorry, to get there. And a cat steals it. And Rudo runs after the cat, and he just grabs this crappy-looking stick off a table while he's running to try to catch the cat with. And it turns out the stick was Zanka's vital instrument, and Zanka's all mad, and he's yelling at him like, who do you think you are, stealing my vital instrument, and some new kid, and whether your engine says you're a natural or not. And Rudo remembers that his stepfather kind of told him how to defuse the situation a little, and so he decided to try that for the first time in his life. And it works, and Zanko apologizes and starts being nice to him. And then Rudo's like, oh, maybe I should try that smiling thing. I've never done that, been able to do that before. And he has the creepiest smile. And then Zanko's like, what is wrong with you? And he freaks out again. They start fighting. And Rudo picks up something to use as a vital instrument and ends up being a plunger. And it throws poo onto Zanka. And it's pretty damn funny. So I know I'm talking about Rudo and everything more than Enjin because the show's really about Rudo. Enjin, he's kind of like the level-head Zen guy, you know. He's you'd say he's the leader, but he's not. He's just part of the clan, and the leader's a guy you don't really know much about. They only show him a couple times, and nobody knows much about him or what his vital instrument is. And the way Enjin talks about him, it's almost like he's a religious kind of thing, but he's not. It's so, you know, they follow him on faith and because they trust him and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so let's see. What could you say more about Enjin? Enjin, he, like I said, he's the level-headed one. He also seems to be like the strongest one. But he also isn't one just to jump into a fight, you know. He assesses the situation, decides, you know, if it's necessary to fight or not. Like when they meet Amma, he allows himself to be pretty much knocked out because he knows that, you know, fighting isn't really the way to handle this problem. And then when he, at the end, couple issues, when they're inside this giant artificial trash beast, spoilers for those of you who haven't watched the whole show, there's a guy sent to fight Enjin, and he's very indecisive. And I guess he can't do anything unless somebody tells him to do it. He has some kind of psychological issue or something with that. And Enjin realizes this, and the guy's like, so, are you going to attack me so I can fight you? He's like, no. And he just starts walking away from the guy, and the guy's like begging him to fight him. That was really a kid. He's like, no, we're good. So that was pretty damn funny. So yeah, I started watching Gachiakuta. Somebody recommended it to me. I'm like, yeah, I'll check it out. And I really dug it, and I watched like the first 12 episodes. And then, you know, I started doing other things, and I had to get videos done, so I started watching other things. And I didn't really get back to it. And that's after I drew Enjin. And I'm like, ugh. And then by the time I finally got to talking about Enjin and I wanted to do the video, it's like, I don't remember enough. And they put up the next 12 episodes. And I was like, alright, man, I'm going to finish Enjin and get this video out. Mostly because I've been really busy the past couple weeks and I didn't really get much drawn other than Venom. And I don't have any other videos in the can. And so I said, alright, I'm just going to take a day and I'm going to watch Gachiakuta and draw. And I know I said that wrong. And then I'll do the Enjin video finally. And man, it's kind of almost painful watching the intro without all the moving stuff and everything. But it's finally here. So if this one gets a lot of views, I'm not going to know if it's Enjin or if it's the old style video that changed people's minds on this stuff. But yeah, here you see I'm using the halftone dots again to shade everything. I do a double layer of them on his face. And I shade them all up, and it just kind of looks pretty badass. And I can't actually wait to print this out. I'm going to print one out after I'm done recording this video. Rudo's gloves, I guess, are a vital instrument that are very powerful, and they're made by a certain guy, and they're part of a series of vital instruments called the Watchman series. So far they showed the gloves that Rudo has, the pair of boots that Amma had, and a jacket that the head of the Raiders had. I'm going to look up his name now. Pause. I should not have looked up his name because I am going to butcher the heck out of it. It's Zodaruo Taifun. So yeah, we're not saying that again. And he has the jacket, and I guess he wants to put all of the Watchmen series of vital instruments together. And I guess the big reveal at the end is Rudo goes into a cave with the artist people in the society, and he sees the symbol of the artist series on the wall. And the girl's like, oh, yeah, a lot of these people's names are lost through time, but this guy's name is known, and it's something, and whatever Ruo's last name is, I'm not going to look that up because I'll probably butcher it too. And Ruo's like, that's my name. And it's like, so apparently an ancestor of his made the Watchmen series. And then the show ends, and we gotta wait for season 2. But it was popular enough that it should be getting a season 2. I hope it's not one of those shows where it takes 4 years to make a season, because that would stink. But yeah, here I am with the halftones, and I'm doubling up on Enjin's halftones, and you know, depending on how big you're watching this is how cool the halftones look, because sometimes when you shrink them down, they just kind of look like a weird dark gray pattern, and they're not that cool. But when you look at them nice and big, it's like, oh, so if you watch it on your TV, it's going to look much cooler instead of watching on your phone or your iPad. Another cleaner of note is Rio. She is, I think she's like a 15 or 16-year-old girl, and her vital instrument is scissors. You know, they have giant scissors in a bunch of animes, and I've even used half scissors for one of my fairies. So it's a cool weapon as far as that kind of stuff goes. I got it from, what's that show called? Oh, the inks are done. It is time to color Enjin. And you can see here, this is what I was talking about. That's the black and white version. I didn't switch the title card out because I kind of wanted you to see both. But here I am coloring Enjin, because before I didn't have all this in here. I just had the black and white. I splashed the blue and red on. Video done. So that's why you can see I didn't think that would make a very good video. So yeah, Rio, she uses scissors. I can't remember the name of the other thing with the scissors, and she uses them with her feet, almost like a surfboard or skateboard kind of thing, and she just rides them and uses them as a weapon that way, and it's pretty darn cool. And she kind of teases Rudo and almost comes on to him because they're both around the same age, and he freaks out because he's like, oh, a girl likes me, and she's just kind of messing with him, I think. And I think at one point she was an assassin of some kind. An Enjin pulled her out of that life and has some kind of thing on her to keep her from unaliving people. Because in the final fight, she's getting her butt kicked by this electricity hair lady, kind of like Electro. And she's like, I just gotta end this. And the lady gets all charged up and is ready for attack, and then you just hear a gunshot. And Rio literally just pulled out a gun and shot her. And she says Enjin won't let her kill people, but it doesn't mean she can't injure her. And she didn't have time to screw around, so that's how she was ending this fight. So, yeah, she's kind of interesting. And apparently, like I said, Enjin has some kind of control thing over her. And, well, her contract, I have no idea. But she promised him that she wouldn't kill people. And so she doesn't, even when she shows up later and Enjin realizes how tough it is to beat all these guys they're fighting. And she shows up and she's like, you didn't kill your guy, did you, Rio? And she's like, no, I didn't kill my guy. And she's almost kind of disappointed that she didn't, because she probably really wanted to. She had a really psycho look in her eye when she shot her and gave her the whole story of how Enjin pulled her out of life of an assassin and saved her, basically. So, pretty cool stuff. But then there's the guy they're fighting at the end, one of the big guys. He's kind of like a cowboy, and he controls all these robot arms. And he reminds me of Sam Elliott, who's fresh in my head, because, you know, I watched those less than awesome Ghost Rider movies to do the Ghost Rider video a couple weeks ago. And Sam Elliott was the best part of the movie, and I love him in everything he did. Tombstone and Roadhouse and other movies I just can't think of off the top of my head right now. He's got that southern cool to him, kind of like Chris Christopherson. I'm probably throwing out names a bunch of you younger folk watching these videos never heard of. But yeah, here I am throwing, so that guy's cool. And here I am throwing the text on to get the whole poster look going for the video. At first I did this for the background, and I didn't like it. So you can see where I start redoing the colors again and changing things up. And there's a splatter in the background now. I lost the part of the video where I took out the halftones and put in the splatter. So, sorry about that. But the coloring on this video is pretty short anyway, because there's not much to the coloring. Just some grays, a little flesh, and a little maroon, because the Ben-Day dots do a lot of the heavy lifting on this one. I keep calling them Ben-Day dots because that's what we called them when I was doing the whole art school thing. It was actually a brand of halftone dots called Bende, and so that's what I always call them. And now they just call them halftones because, you know, you do it digitally with fancy brushes and stuff for the drawing program of your choice. Like I'm using Clip Studio, so I bought them for that, and I don't think they're compatible with Photoshop. And I think I bought the halftone brushes twice because I think I initially bought a version of it for Procreate when Procreate was pretty much the only decent drawing program on the iPad. And I was going to quit drawing on the iPad because Procreate's brushes were backwards at the time. So glad they brought Clip Studio over the iPad. So yeah, I'm glad they put that out. So I'm pretty much done with this video. If you haven't seen Gachiakuta, or like I said, tell me how to pronounce it in the comments below if you know, or write it out phonetically. You should check it out. It's a little dark though, and some of the stuff gets a little like, wow, I can't believe they went there, especially when Amma was thinking about her past, and we didn't even really get to talk to her, but there we go. Enjin is done. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff, because I could use the help on the algorithm. You guys have a great week, and go out and draw something.